Okay, so for the people who just coming, we just finished our first interview of the morning with Marguerite, who is the executive director of the Trauma Center for Survivor of Violence and Torture. And now we just begin our second interview with Simoneh. Simone, yes, I say it well, I hope. So for during the Youth Month in South Africa, the Artscape Theatre will celebrate the talents of young South Africans with a series of events spanning various genres. So these events aim to highlight and support the artistic abilities for youth, offering them a platform to showcase their skills in music, dance, fashion, and visual arts. So, hello, Simone. How are you today?
Simon, I'm so glad you pronounced my name properly. I mean, it is French after all.
Okay, nice. Thanks. Enchanté. So, to begin, what inspired you to organize this event?
The Youth Month or Youth Projects?
The Youth Project.
Yes, that's correct. So, the inspiration comes from the fact that we need, the arts is continuously developing and we need to engender new patrons. So we need to invest in the youth. And the youth needs a platform in order to exercise and to showcase the skills that they have, whether it be singing, acting, drama, etc., etc. So this was the main purpose behind it. And also for the youth to be exposed and mentored by the professional artists in their respective disciplines so that the artists can also pass on their expertise to the youth, and in so we grow the arts and continue it to grow.
Okay.
Thank you. And could you describe the main goals, objectives behind this event?
The main goals, I think as I've just alluded, it is obviously to give youth a platform in order to exercise or not exercise, in order to produce and promote, and some can even direct, because we've got other youth-centered productions which is not part of Youth Month, such as the High School Drama Festival, which is in September. So the Youth Month productions are focused on youth, but Artscape has an entire youth actually of program of yearly events, which is inclusive of the High School Drama Festival, as I mentioned, and the Schools Arts Festival, and then we have separate productions for the grade 12s, and as well as for the little ones with Floy, and obviously shows for children coming up, which is the Whimsical Beanstalk, which is an interpretation of Jack and the Beanstalk. And that is together with the associated companies. It's based at Artscape. There are quite a few, and I'll go through them very quickly. It's Cape Town Opera, Cape Town Philharmonic Orchestra, Jazz Art Dance Theatre, Unmute Dance Company, Zip Zap Circus, Women's Zone, and of course Fine Music Radio, the other classical music and jazz radio station. It's the only radio station in a theatre on the African continent that we know of. So together with them, there are a host of youth programs throughout the year and youth and educational projects. And as I said in my intro, it is to expose the youth to professional artists so that the professional artists can impart their knowledge for them to continue on the growth.
Okay, awesome. And how did you select the themes or activities featured in this year's program?
Some of them are selected, some of them are productions. Like I've mentioned, the Whimsical Beanstalk is obviously a production where artists are auditioned in order to get the roles, and then you've got a production such as the Youth Jazz Orchestra, and later on in September we've got the Youth Classical Music Concert, where the youth have to audition. They've got to send in tapes. I think I'm using an ancient word. Videos. That's it. They're giving my age away. They've got to use video. They're sending some videos as to how they, in their respective disciplines, whether it be the trumpet, the piano, that goes for jazz and for classical. They are selected by the mentors, and our chief director and mentor for the past 10 years has been Associate Professor Amanda Tiffin. She's head of UCT Jazz Studies. So for the jazz contestants, they don't have to be musically trained, because a lot of our artists, especially on the Cape Flats areas, don't have access to or don't have the physical and the financial means to actually go to for music training. So they learn the jazz compositions by ear. So for the jazz series, they can be trained by ear, but for the youth classical concert, which is later on in the year, they have to be classically trained.
Okay.
Thank you. And what were some of the challenges you faced while planning and organizing this event?
The challenges are always money.
Sorry?
The challenges are always money.
Always
it's not
money,
just in South Africa. It's in France as well. It's in Europe as well. There's always the support of funding that is required, because you need to pay the artists, you need to pay the producers, the directors.
It's difficult.
I think that is one of the main challenges. And I think I'd like to go on air to thank the City of Cape Town, which came in and gave us a lovely sponsorship, as well as the St. Oesterfees, which also gave up some funds and money. So the challenge for at least a few of our productions have been overcome. And I think the other challenge is also to get the word out there as far and wide as possible for youth to participate to all these projects that we have. So whoever is listening to this, put on the recording or get the podcast from Push Radio and put it on all your social media platforms.
Okay, nice. Can you share any memorable moments or highlights from past editions of this event?
I think highlights that can be ventilated out there from past editions such as these is that we've had artists, and I'm sure everybody, I would hope that everybody would know who she is. Pretty Yende, she's one of the principal sopranos currently at the New York Metropolitan Opera House, and she sings across Europe. And I don't think anyone cannot know who she is, because she sang at the coronation of King Charles in that gorgeous yellow dress. So she's one of the prodigies that came through. Well, she came through Cape Town Opera, not specifically Artscape, but it was on Artscape stages. I think that's one of the greatest achievements. There's opera singers like Pumeza Machikiza, and then there are jazz artists who have imparted their knowledge to the youth artists such as Mandisi Janchis. Everyone knows who Mandisi Janchis is. So those are the highlights that we can take a brag about, basically, that we have some of these artists on international professional stages, and that we have stalwarts within, like Jimmy Doodloo example, within the jazz community that impart their knowledge to these artists, and they come on stage and play with these artists as well. With the youth.
And how do you envision this event contributing to the local community or youth development?
Arts, I think arts, when people think of arts, they just think of the stage and the curtain going up. Yesterday was it was a funny day. We had Cape Town Opera's 25th anniversary on Sunday, and the chandelier foyer was bedecked in decor and nice couches and chairs and whatever. And they came to wrap up everything yesterday to obviously strike it down. And I took some pictures and I sent it to one or two of our very esteemed patrons, and I said to them, this is what the theatre foyer looks like when you people on like here, when sitting up. So what the example that I want to make about that is the arts, not Artscape specifically, but the arts can create a number of jobs which people don't think of because they just think about artists on stage. There's the makeup, there's the hair, there's the carpentry, there's the set building, there's the design, etc., etc. So one of the aims is also to empower the youth to go out there, whether they be artistic or whether they work backstage, to empower the youth to go out there to have meaningful careers within the arts and the arts world and performing arts. And in previous years, we've also had funding from the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture, of which we are a cultural agency, to run projects such as the Incubator Project, where the National Department gives us this funding, and we can appoint, we don't have the funding unfortunately this year and the year before, but we can appoint up to 12 youth and train them in various aspects of the arts, whether it be marketing, public relations, finance, set building, design, hairdressing, all of those things.
Okay, and how has the response been from the participants and the community so far?
Overwhelming. It's always a difficult decision to choose the youth that's going to go participate to the jazz festival, because there are so many entries. When it comes to the schools band, so the youth jazz festival is next week. No, sorry, this week.
This week, okay.
Behind, yes. Yeah, it's this week Friday at 7, and then on Saturday it's the schools bands. And I mean, we know there's like hundreds of schools in the Western Cape Province, and we can only select 15 schools.
Okay,
so the 15 schools were selected by Keith Tabisher, who is part of the Western Cape Education Department. So I think that's the challenge. We would like to give everyone a platform, but we actually have overcome that challenge when it comes to the Schools Arts Festival, because the Schools Arts Festival runs for 2 weeks, and every school that enters gets their 15 minutes of fame on the stage, whether it be poetry, drama, dance, acting, theatre, hip-hop, whatever. So, I mean, everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. So it's the 15 minutes of fame.
I understand.
Okay, and what kind of impact do you hope this event will have on the attendees and the participants?
The impact from a brand perspective and from the arts in general is that artists were the most, or the performing arts and the entertainment industry were the most affected during lockdown. We had the most severe restrictions. And while open-air events, for example, could have 3,000 people at their open-air events, we still have to curtail it to 300 in an opera house that seats 1,500 people, or 150 people in a theatre that seats 500. So a lot of artists are still struggling to get back there. They may look glamorous on the stage and glamorous on television, but they're still trying to make a living. So besides honing skills and getting these artists to get their skills on a professional stage, the bottom line is we would love people to support the arts and buy a ticket.
Yeah, and where we can find like the ticket and see the planning of the youth month?
That's a good question, because Artscape is a receiving house. 95% of productions are not our productions.
Okay,
they are productions from the producers and the associated companies, as I mentioned earlier on. They hire the venue and the stages. We've got different rates. Sometimes we give it for free to struggling NGOs.
Okay.
That needs a platform, but that's on a case by case basis, and it is for them they can choose which ticketing agency that they would want their tickets to be sold on, whether it's CompuTicket, Quicker, Ticketmaster, etc. But our main ticket service provider is Web Tickets.
Okay, yes.
And for the jazz concert, it's also on Web Tickets. So that's where you can find it, or just go onto our website, click on the Youth Jazz and the Youth Month productions, or any productions at Artscape, and it will navigate you to the ticketing agency, or call Artscape box office, dial a seat, which is 021-421-7695.
Okay, I saw yesterday your website, and there is like all the information that we have to know.
The last the last question before I finish the interview. Looking ahead, are there any plans or inspiration for the future edition of this event?
Definitely. The Youth Jazz series is 21 this year, so I don't think this is a term that you will understand as to French persons, dit word mondig, which means in coming of age. So in South Africa, especially in Cape Town, reaching the age of 21, it's part of the Cape Town culture. It is a big event if you as an adult reach 21 years of age, although the legal age is 18 and 16 for consent, but 21 was the age in our grandmothers and grandfathers' time. So it's a big event. So the jazz series is 21 years of age, and the Youth Classical concert will be 53 years running this year. So it's towards the longevity. And I think the years that we have been showcasing these productions on our stages is definitely proof that there is life in these productions. And the fact that a number of these artists have gone on to national and worldwide stages proves the proof is in the pudding. So they've had the pudding and they are enjoying the berries and the raspberries and everything that's earning their money.
Simoneh, thank you very much for coming through. Simoneh, sorry, Simoneh.
Simon, it's me.
It's Simon. Without the E.
Okay,
we should do this every week.
Simoneh. Okay, Simoneh, I believe that you were, as soon as you entered the studio, you knew that the French student started speaking French.
Oui, parce que je parle français couramment et avant, j'étais la coordinatrice culturelle de l'Alliance française de Mitchell's Plain et aussi la présidente de l'Alliance française de Pretoria. So in short, for those in English, I speak French fluently and I used to work at the Alliance française in Mitchell's Plain and in Pretoria I was on the committee.
Do you agree, Shana?
Wow.
Oh, she's shocked. Which is true, the late Nelson Mandela said, if you speak in someone's in their language, it goes straight into their heart because they can hear you.
And where do you have learned the French language?
I studied French at university through the University of South Africa, and that was by correspondence for 2 years.
Okay.
So I didn't even have a French teacher. And I think if we have 1 minute, one of your very famous François Hardy. François Hardy died about 2 weeks ago.
François
Hardy. That's right. And she was the only French. She was the only French singer that made it to the Rolling Stones 200 best singers of all time in the entire world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I recall my French lecturer telling me those years ago, I'm not going to give my age away now, but those years ago in the previous century, to listen to François Hardy and Edith Piaf, and I'm like, how am I going to learn French with them? But anyway, that was an amazing way to learn it, and obviously via correspondence as well. And then as I went to work for the Alliance Française, the French picked up, etc.
Yeah, she was very famous, and
you should play a song.
Yeah,
She's got
sure.
some English songs.
Yeah. Like maybe after, and that yes, we should play a song about François Hardy.
She's got there was an English hit of hers. When we're done, I'll actually check my what's his name.
Okay.
Unfortunately, time is jealous. Thank you very much, Simoneh, for coming through on 89.5 FM. We hope to have you again, though, in future.